Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame. What number are we on? Maintaining Frame number 125. Women on sex strike, men to blame. Obviously,
We've done a
we're
lot
going
of
to be,
these.
huh?
We've done a lot of these. I just said.
Yeah, 125. That's just that. I mean, it's been more than that too, because
I think
we
what it
used
would
to
look like.
we used to call this series HBR debate, and then it
Mhm.
turned out then we were getting requests and stuff, and so yeah, I don't know. I've thousands of shows. I think I've done thousands of
Can
these.
you imagine
Like
a
not,
compilation of me tripping you up? Interrupting you? Oh my
yeah.
god.
Well,
Imagine.
AI is going to get to the point where it can go through our entire catalog and you can just select, all of the rants compilation. It'll put it together, probably,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
No, but
yeah.
yeah, it was this is yeah, and this is a twofer. So we're going to
We
cover.
we're gonna do the first thing we're gonna release is gonna be a right compilation, and it's just gonna be Karen saying right, and it's gonna run for like 10 hours.
Right?
And
Right,
I know
right.
there are people who watch us that will like absolutely pay to watch that. So there you go. But the AI is not ready yet.
It'll be
We're
your
not
first
there yet. Yeah.
$50,000 request.
Yeah.
Just 10 hours of Karen saying, right? Oh man.
Okay. So anyway, we got for you guys a couple of requests from our subscribers. One
Actually,
is,
one
are we
patron,
just doing the
Yeah.
one? Oh, but he did both requests.
Yes, he did both requests. I'm still waiting on perhaps the Great Indoors will do a request, but he's still trying to figure out.
He
He
sent
is,
you an audio thing, didn't
yeah,
he?
he's sort of a connoisseur of requests. Like Richard Bier is like, yeah, just give me a burger.
He likes the
Um,
slop.
yeah, the Great Indoors is like, no, my requests must be of a refined palate. So it may
Yeah.
take him a little bit longer to figure out what he wants. Yeah, but this slop is you say Richard likes the slop, but then so do a lot of these women's subscribers. They're and Hannah Cox Cax Hannah Cax. Hannah Cox is probably going to she's probably going to blow up, honestly, at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I think
Mhm.
so. I don't know. Hannah Cox has it's what I'm noticing is that there are very few people who are actually like operating in this conversation. I've always seen this ever since I started doing this. I've always seen this as I want to encourage a discussion that's productive and at least somewhat serious. I mean, like the longer I do this, the more I realize that like the overwhelming majority of people that are involved in this discussion are neither of those things. And I think
Mhm.
Hannah Cox is one of them. I think that most people they have a brand. They're like, this is my brand. I'm playing this
Mhm.
character. I'm LARPing as this thing. I have to, and that means I have to lean into this construct of a person I've made, this persona, my online persona that I have to play. And they do
Mhm.
that. And Hannah Cox is her persona is I'm the reasonable, like feminist libertarian. And so she has to stay in character for that reasonable feminist libertarian and essentially gaslight people into thinking that she is like reasonable or libertarian while
Mm.
just being a feminist. And a lot of the stuff that she advocates for is anathema. It is an aberration to anyone who actually understands libertarianism. But we still have to play along like she's the libertarian option, and it's like exhausting. It's like these people who are like, like I just watched the thing with Dr. Phil,
Mm.
and Dr. Phil was doing an interview he was doing an interview with Tulsi Gabbard, but it wasn't about her. He basically was talking about how, like, I'm the kind of person that remember when 9/11 happened, there were no left and right. There was just Americans. And I was like, no shit, Dr. Phil. You have a PhD to tell people that like people are normal, like most of the time. Like it's just like this is not elevating the discussions about anything. And it's really frustrating. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean Hannah Cox is kind of frustrating because there's like nothing genuine there. I remember I sat down with brunch. It was like a months ago. I sat down with Paul Elam. He
Mm.
wanted to have brunch with me, and it was actually shortly after I kind of like I made a mistake. I made an error with him in terms of like, we were supposed to meet up for something and I didn't. And part of it was because I was very sick and I had these memory lapses. This was in 2023. You guys might
Mhm.
remember I wasn't doing so well. And then I was in the hospital for a while. And Paul, apologized because he was pretty upset. And we sat down, we had a long talk and we had some food. And he said that one of the things that he really appreciates about what we do here is that we try to just be authentic. And like, if that comes across as like, less than, I don't know, hyper charismatic or entertaining or whatever, because we're trying to be like real. He says he doesn't care because that's how he operates too, And this is one
Mm.
of the things, like a lot of people, and I'm sorry for hijacking this a little bit, but a lot of
That's
people
okay.
a lot of people that talk about the manosphere, which includes us, whether you like it or not, because that's how they framed it.
And I
They're
don't like it. I
I
really
know.
don't.
I know you don't like it, Allison, but it doesn't matter what you like. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
Yeah,
irrelevant.
I
So,
I was
okay.
just opened that up. I
No, I
had
know I did, but I'm just saying there are people who would say that doesn't count. It's like it doesn't matter, guys. Like we're
no.
in the frame. We shouldn't be trying to like apologize for what the positions we hold just because our enemies, and they are our enemies, have essentially framed us, as part of like something else. If we're trying to like apologize for that or compensate for that, it just puts us on the back foot, and we're fighting a defensive war we can't win. So we might as well just
Mhm.
lean in and say, sure, whatever you want to believe. I don't give a shit.
Whatever you wanna
Just
call
let's
us.
just
We're
have
just
the
gonna
conversation. Yeah,
continue to
let's
have the
just
conversation and be
yeah.
authentic.
And it started, that's
Well,
how the
I
the
hate
men's
saying
rights
more.
activist thing started too, right? Because MRA was a slur that feminists use. They
Yeah.
thought it was so like absurd that there would be a men's rights activist. They would just
Anybody to
call us what we
advocate for men.
were.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
then we just sort of like owned it. Like, okay, sure, if that's what you want to call us. Now
Yeah,
what?
tell us
That's what
whatever
I'm
you
saying.
want.
Like,
Let's get back to the
yeah,
conversation. I was
exactly.
just gonna say, saying you're authentic is almost like saying, like, you're humble, you know?
I know, but I'm not okay. I'm not saying that I said it, but I think that it's
Mm,
what I try to do. That's what
mhm.
that's what I
You
would say.
strive
I
for it.
try to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, like Paul, I think that's what his advantage was he was authentic. He wasn't trying to like please people. He wasn't worried about the optics. He was just like, this is what I think. And honestly, that actually ended up paying off when you think about it, because
Yeah.
Cassie J saw his work, not Warren Farrell's work that's been going on for like 30 years or whatever. And I'm not saying Warren Farrell's not authentic, but his approach is very like soft and but it doesn't work.
Conciliatory.
Like, yeah, it's very conciliatory. It's very agreeable. It's very yes
I
and
don't think it doesn't work. It's just not enough. Let's put it that way.
right. You need some people who are gonna
A little bit
be
more hardcore, a little bit more
more
willing to
more
just
brutally honest,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah,
it's just I think he like you said, I think he's being authentic to himself, but like I said, I
for
don't
sure.
know it's not enough. It's just not
Yeah.
enough.
No, but
Um,
for sure. And you need both of these types of people, and it worked out. So like, I guess what I'm saying is that just to sort of, bring it down. Yeah, the Hannah Cox content, one of the reasons why I struggle to enjoy myself responding to it is because I don't think she's authentic. I don't think
mm,
she's a serious person. I think she's selling Hannah Cox, the brand, and that's why her channel will grow,
mhm,
because she's got an audience that she's catering to, much in the
mhm,
same way that Manifestel does. It's the same thing. They have a customer base. They're gonna hold on to it. Hannah Cox is like the intellectual, independent woman that don't need no man, but is also not a rabid feminist, or at least that's what they perceive themselves to
mm,
be, even though they still are. It's just bubbling under the surface. And Manifestel is the, like cutthroat, do whatever you got to do to get that bag. Men don't deserve your labor or your work. I'm angry at men because some guy burned me once, and now the whole species has to pay. And
mhm,
they love that. They eat it up because there is somebody that's telling them, I agree with you.
mm.
So
Yeah. And actually, honestly, like, the hysteria, not I don't even wanna call it hysteria, the cold, calculated evil that's coming out of the women like that small group of women who are absolutely wedded to the threat narrative party. That's what I'm calling the left now because that's all they have. Um, like they're starting to get really freaking creepy and also frightening. Have you seen? Like I sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I
starting.
showed it. I showed it to Lindsay. Do you want to talk about that on here
But
or?
a little bit, not too much,
All
because we
right,
do have
let
to
me
get into the
see.
video.
Let me grab that link then because I think it is worth mentioning. I was gonna do it on the news show. I think the news show is gonna be freaking
Or we can
packed.
have like because
Um,
we're gonna redo the or not do again the response to the Trump victory among the
more
feminists.
of them, yes, more
Yeah,
of them.
I was thinking of I'll ask Karen if she wants to come on tomorrow and we can
I'm
cover that.
sure
I
Karen
think
is like she's like re-energized. All
oh
right, so
yeah.
let me show you all. Okay, so I'm gonna share the video here on the for the people that are watching on Twitter. So hold on a second. All right, so this is a tweet. Let me just sorry, hold on. This is a tweet from somebody named I meme therefore I am, and which is hilarious. And it's a video, and he says, "Holy shit, Karens lost their fucking minds over Trump's win and launched MATGA, short for Make Aqua Tofana Great Again. Aqua Tofana was a powerful poison in 17th century Sicily, sold by women to other women seeking to escape abusive relationships by discreetly poisoning their husbands. First, Karens on TikTok and Instagram kicked off the 4B movement, which Allison made a video about
Mhm.
already, and we've talked about a little bit in the
Yep.
past on this channel. Refusing to marry, have children, date, or have relationships with men, they started wearing blue bracelets and getting blue heart tattoos to recognize each other in public as Harris voters. And this soon evolved into the MAGTA movement. What the actual fuck? The first video
Mm.
got over 1.3 million likes. And do you want me to play it? It's like an hour, 2 minutes long,
I'll
but
give
it's
you a
on
summary.
X.
Basically, it's dramatizing the idea of poisoning men, killing men. Like
Yes.
this is their political commentary on all this. And of course, they also have the usual self-righteous bullshit about men controlling their bodies because people don't want to pay for them to abort their children after having, bare raw dog sex with, whatever the top 20% of men on Tinder. Like, yeah, that's not people controlling their bodies. That's people controlling their own pocketbooks. Okay. They don't want to spend it on your recreational sex. Right. And the other thing is that so they had a man say, well, your body, my choice. Well, but the thing is that men have no reproductive rights at all. Like, and that's that's the
Yeah,
legal
but
precedent.
Allison, how dare he even say anything? Which is that's like the thing is that men say something probably to fuck with you or troll you or whatever. But and women take it super seriously. And then they put out videos of them like actually like showing like at least LARPing they're gonna poison men. And if you call them out on it, they're all like, oh no, it's just satire, bro. I mean, I don't want to censor these women, but it's insane that they would like be okay with making death threats, effectively making death threats,
Well, you'd think that,
as a response to some guy trolling them by saying like one guy said something.
yeah, but also they have a completely distorted view of reality, thanks to
Mm-hmm.
feminism, thanks to academia, thanks to the government that funds all this shit, and or the deep state. I guess I can call it the deep state since Trump's used that, because Karen referred to it as the administrative state. The deep state has constructed this threat narrative in which men actually have reproductive. Why do you have to threaten to murder men in order to get them to sympathize with you about being able to abort? Why not just take away men's reproductive? Oh, right. Men don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they're raped, men have no reproductive rights. They have no recourse. Okay. If you want to
Yeah.
listen to this, I actually find it
It's okay.
so.
There's actually some licensed music in here, like
Yeah.
Eminem
And
is,
this
and hey,
guy,
we'll get dinged for it. I'm not gonna play it, but
I,
like
I want
we
to say
can.
one more thing. This is a
Yeah,
catalog of Crazy Eye.
it
Serious
is. It
Crazy Eye.
is. But like, I have to ask though. This is something I think about. I think it's something. It's like a female psychology or a group female psychology thing, because like I said, you have people. These women are making death threats against the men in their life in this video by showing themselves like, oh, look, I have poison. I'm going to put it in this cup as a response to, and there's like some Nick Fuentes saying, your body, my choice. And they're responding to one guy who's probably a gay fed, by the way, that is trolling them online, essentially. And they're taking it super seriously. And I think that it's just like this thing with the bracelets and the heart tattoos and them shaving their heads. It becomes, it's like the way that they activate. It's like they accessorize. Okay, ladies, we're all going to wear blue. We're going to wear blue bracelets to show that we're all on the same team. And what is the purpose of that? Essentially to signal to women who aren't doing it that they're the enemy. So it's not just against men. It's against women who are not down with this, right? Whether regardless of how they may have voted or whatever. And it's them, like the ladies on The View, they all wore black the day after the election. They were like, and it's like, I made a joke with my wife. I was like, this is what women do. They, men, they like go out there and they organize, and women, they accessorize. Oh, we're going to wear bracelets today, ladies. We're going to dress up like Handmaid's Tale costumes. We're going to wear all black, and I'm just like, it's not doing anything. I mean, it's like, it's got its place. I'm not saying that it's useless, but this is like the wrong arena for that. And it's just, I wonder how many of these women are seriously like taking this whole thing seriously, and how many of them are doing it because other women are doing it and they just want to belong. And that's what I mean, like the bracelets and the tattoos and we're all friends now, the sisterhood, etc. I just wonder how much of it is actually authentic,
and how much of it
authenticity.
I think I saw an infographic, and I think 54 or 52% of non-black, non-white women voted for Trump. And when you look at white women, it's like 70% plus. So how many women does this actually represent, especially if they're white? Like they're a vast minority.
Well, I think the majority of women who were for Harris were actually the college educated women.
Yeah, so but they're a minority. So this is
they are, but I'm saying that's telling you where this comes from. It's the more educated, college educated women, the modern college educated women, not the moms, not the grandmas, not the women who maybe like they didn't go to a big university, maybe they just have a high school education, something like that. So
something that occurred to me when I was watching all this, and I was talking to somebody on Twitter, because I saw that the Great Indoors talked about, the repealing the 19th is seeming more and more sensible,
reasonable.
Well, to be fair, if you left it up to women, Trump would have won at this point in this election. Let's be fair. But having said that, what I realized after this election, and it's one of the reasons why I told you guys that it gave me a sense of hope, is that I think men won this election. And when I was talking to somebody about this, they brought up the usual, if you lost 80% of men in a war, you could rebuild your nation with all the remaining women. Of course, you wouldn't really have a nation left, but regardless. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, but if a party lost 80% of the male vote, they'd be gone.
Yep.
So it's almost like, and I know this is a really radical thing to say, it's almost like giving women the vote didn't give them the power of men. It actually gave men the power of women, as long as men rise up and start recognizing their own self-interest in the political landscape. Because that's the other thing that has to happen, and I think it is. And it's happening because let's face it, the most consistent narrative from the left is that men are bad.
Yep.
That's the most consistent messaging. And then they're surprised when men didn't vote for them, not even their own men. This is the great thing. Like, not even liberal men, not even men, Democrat men voted for the Democrat Party because that message was so toxic. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there so people could cogitate on it. And let's get into the video.
All right, well, let's go to the video. Okay, so this is Hannah Cox. What is this freaking thing called? I don't know, whatever. She's responding to the female response to The
Mm.
Trump thing. So what these women on TikTok and Instagram
Did you get an answer on?
losing their shit.
Did you
What?
get an answer for your question there?
I didn't look. I did post it in there. I did get some super chats. I should read those.
Well,
But yeah, I
actually,
mean,
let me read
what?
that question. So this is the question before the court. What specific parts of these videos should we focus on? Hannah Cox talks about what she dislikes about Trump, the women's response to this, and the red pill bros. Which is your preference? I could tell you my preference. I don't give a crap what Hannah dislikes about Trump, because for me, this isn't about like, it isn't about Trump winning. It's about men making that happen for me.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that's why I asked it, because I don't really.
Although I will say this,
I think making it about Trump is a distraction.
I will say
That's
this,
all
for
I'll
the
say.
first time when I've watched him speak, and it was about the free speech issue, although I'm a little bit,
Hmm.
like, honestly, I'm a little skeptical about his proposal to have a bill to say only two genders, because it sounds like that's close to top down censorship, but we'll see how that plays out. But when he was speaking on free speech, I remember I was watching him, and specifically I was watching his eyes and his presentation. And for the first time, I think, and don't like don't take this with a grain of salt, but it's my impression that he is like, the look on his face was one of pain and determination. And for the first time, I'm like looking at him and I'm thinking, this guy is willing to become a brick in the road to a better world. And what I mean by that is, I think that this whole situation with this assassination stuff really changed his perspective. And for the first time for me, he's coming across as someone who genuinely is willing to sacrifice for a world that's worth being part of. And that impacted me. So I'm going to say that about him and about my impression of him. And as Brian knows, I'm not a fan. But
Right. Well, okay, well, that's good, because they did try to kill him twice at least. But what I would say is that the reason why I didn't actually want to make it about Trump is because I felt like it would become a
yeah,
conversation about, his policies, and then I have to be the one to cape for him, and at least to be like, look, can we just treat the guy like a normal person trying to trying to make a better change and not get distracted. But the thing is too, and I'll just say for the record, because I don't want to deal with Hannah Cox's impressions of Trump, but I
yeah,
will sum it
that's
up
the other
really,
thing.
really. I'll sum it up in a simple fashion. She says she doesn't like him. She says there's a number of reasons. She doesn't list one. So I don't have anything to go off of, except that she's a libertarian, so she thinks both options are bad, which means she thinks essentially she's made the enemy of the good, which means I can't really respond to that either. And I say that as somebody who has a lot of sympathy for libertarian principles, but I
Mm,
also live in reality where that's just not a thing that we're going to see in our
for a
lifetime,
while, yeah.
because the only way we're going to get to a libertarian or even close to a libertarian like existence or government structure is if we essentially put men in a better position in our society. So that's why libertarian feminism, which is what she purports, it's a complete like oxymoron, because men can't be like, you can't have a libertarian society if men and women aren't like, of some comparable value in that society, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. And so, she will use I'm a libertarian as the excuse to hate on a guy who, it just doesn't quite line up with whatever she wants. And she won't actually articulate what it is that she doesn't like, because I think ultimately it's just like things like, oh, I don't like the way he talks about women, blah, blah, blah. So, and I mean,
Mm.
for me, like, we're way past that. I just don't care. Like, I just don't care what you think about how people talk. So, but
Hmm.
anyway, I got some super chows I should read
Sure.
before we get into the video. So Richard Bier gives us $5, and he's the guy who requested this. And he says, I found why there are around 200 or 20 million missing votes for Harris. It nicely matches the number of flat pack cuck chairs that have been delivered during September through October. Turns out that the one who sits in the cuck chair isn't the one capable of assembling it, and the cuck's wife and her boyfriend aren't helping him to do so, and therefore he couldn't get to the polls because he was too busy trying to decipher the instructions, where every page was in a different language for inclusivity reasons, and sorting out the various parts and fasteners, as well as having difficulty with the use of tools. All right. Thank you for that, Richard Bier. Very that's a decent theory. I think that you might have something there. Then we got Albatross. I think this is the one that's on the screen. No, Great Indoors. Albatross is gone already. So I'll just have to read his now. Albatross gives us $5 and says, why is there this massive glut of far left identity politics, women breaking up with their supposedly wretched far right misogynistic boyfriends? Do they just suck at vetting? Well, that goes back to what I was saying before about how I think that there is like women are doing a lot of women that are responding in this. I think there's a lot of performance going on, and not a lot of it is actually genuine, but it's more like, oh, I want to fit in with this group of women who are getting a lot of attention online. Like there's like a meme. It's like a female Wojak with pink hair, and she's got like her finger on her mouth, and she's saying, should I record myself freaking out and post it online? And I think that's what it is. Like, so I don't think that, because like, look, here's the thing. If you are with someone, and if you're in a relationship with somebody that you love or that you care about deeply, odds are you share the same values. Like that's why it doesn't really make sense that like there was that ad that was running for it where it was like Julia Roberts trying to like convince women to vote against their husband's interests because obviously their husbands don't have their interests in mind or something. And it's like, no, that's not really the way normal people operate. Like, Lindsay and I, we share most of the same values, if not all of the same values. And that's like any healthy relationship. So are women breaking up with their boyfriends over this? I doubt it. I think that they'll say that they're doing it, but they don't have to like bring any receipts to the table, or they don't have boyfriends, or whatever it is. Like they're like, I don't think that's actually happening. And if it is, those boyfriends should probably be sighing, a sigh of relief, because now they've learned what the quality of the women in their life is. So
exactly, they dodged the bullet. They're no longer having to invest in women who have no interest in investing in them. And how can a woman on the left at this point, like, think about it, they are justifying their partner's adherence to a political position that's overtly anti-male. I don't even mean neutral, because I'm like, conservatives can't, okay, they don't necessarily, because they're not men's issues advocates. They're conservatives. They don't necessarily have this at the forefront. We do. They don't, that kind of thing. But many cases, they're more neutral about it, unless you're talking about trans women, which, that's another kettle full of fish. But it's like, this is active antipathy to men even identifying as men when you look at the left and the left's corpus of thought. I mean, they're the left, in a left-aligned psychology has developed this concept of masculine ideology, which turns actually identifying as a man into a political position, which incidentally they think is wrong. So it's like, how can you expect a man to adhere to people who hate them? Right? It's actually really toxic. And if she's kicking you to the curb because of that, I know it may be painful now and maybe for a few years, but you don't want that in your life. Like, no, you don't. You're never going to get what you want from a woman like that. And that is respect, love, and desire. Not true.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. And then I got the Great Indoors. He gives us $5 and says, I'm sorry, but shaving your head bald or in an edgy haircut was seemingly already a pretty popular thing for women to do. Check out YouTube channel TA77 for the video thumbnails to see what I mean. Maybe later, but thank you for that. We know that, but like, I think that, again, it's just, I think it's mostly performative. I mean, they'll do it. Like, it's like, because they got nothing to do. But I think a lot of this is women just trying to get attention in different ways. Like, in fact, like the attention economy, which is basically what social media and the internet is, it's dominated by women, and they're all approaching it from different vectors. And I think that Hannah Cox is just operating in another vector. She's virtue signaling libertarianism, which is probably like less realistic than communism at this point because of how fucked human nature is, especially female nature. So like, because, Karen, who's probably one of the most hardcore libertarians I know, she spoke at a libertarian conference or something, and she said that if the libertarians are going to like sort of grow in terms of their validity, they're going to have to attract women, and the problem is women by their very nature are not libertarian. So it's going to be, and she was warning them, like, if you get women involved in your movement, they're going to try to change it to be not what you guys are aiming for. I think that libertarianism at this point, it's just another virtue signal. It's just another way for people like Hannah Cox to sound smarter than everybody else. And there's really no substance there. I'm sorry, but I like the idea. Like where I live.
Let me push back on that a bit.
Okay.
I think this is a step towards recognizing men. Like, and again, this is something that I think men have to do for themselves, is to start to develop their own platform, right? And their own personal interest. And like I said, that whole exchange, and then me realizing that this may be a situation where men actually have more power than I ever thought, and maybe they didn't think, but they have to actually get out, they have to vote, they have to understand their own interests, and they have to have no shame about advocating for them. No shame, like none whatsoever. And maybe this whole situation, the left becoming so virulently anti-male, and the reason why they're so virulently anti-male is because the only thing left on the left is a threat narrative protecting the deep state, and a threat narrative needs a villain, and that villain has to be men. And when you create a villain out of men, you cannot recognize any of their vulnerabilities, because that destroys your threat narrative. So it's like men need, like, that maybe waking men up to their own self-interest. And you got to do it. Like, this is something men have got to do for themselves. They've got to wake up to their own self-interest, be shameless about it, be shameless at advocating for it. You have every right to advocate for your own self-interest. Every right. And here's the other thing. The left not only is overtly anti-male, in my opinion, it's actually also anti-female at the end of the day.
Oh,
and
yeah, it has to be.
I'm not saying that this is more important than them being overtly misandrists. They don't care about women. They only care about framing women in a way that supports their threat narrative, that uses them to basically form a fart shield around their activities. That's it. They have sacrificed women's sense of well-being, their sense of purpose, their sense of efficacy in their lives, any kind of stable core that could allow them to overcome these mental illnesses that they're increasingly having. Like that's what gets you to overcome a lot of the mental health problems that women have. The big thing, like, for example, a borderline personality disorder, which I think is now epidemic among women, the big thing that borderline personality disorder people lack is a stable sense of self. And you get that from external standards that you're held to and that you strive for. You develop that from those things. And the left strips women of all of the tools to maintain and enhance and improve their mental health, starting with the recognition that the very biggest causal factor, the biggest thing that a woman can do to improve her likelihood of being happy is settle down with a man. And then the other thing that a woman can do to improve her chance of being happy is to integrate men's ways of knowing into her expression, like being able to be stoic when it's called upon, being able to look towards what you can do to improve your circumstance when that's called upon, being able to see yourself in terms of your achievements and your external standards. All of that is absolutely important.
It goes on and
women's mental health. That's okay.
I'm trying to find the spot to like play it from. But go ahead.
They strip all of that from women, every single speck of it. Every single speck. And they don't give enough back to justify it at all. So, I mean, yes, this is but this is the funny thing about men and women. What you do to men, you eventually do to women.
Yep.
And this is where we're at. Okay, so let's listen to what Hannah Cox has to say about all this.
I was just trying to find the first time code while you were talking. I wasn't trying to be, that wasn't a passive aggressive thing at all. No, it wasn't. Okay. But anyway, I'm skipping because no, that would be that I wouldn't do it that way. I would just say, Allison, let's move on. I'm jumping ahead to where we get these reactions and get her reaction to the reactions. So here is some of the absolutely totally sane and normal women responding to the Trump victory, which I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that
This
they
is
had
not
no
me.
idea that this was coming. But I got another super chat at the last second from Richard Bier, who is the sponsor for this video. $5. If you sincerely believe that you are a target for oppression or violence, why would you do anything to identify yourself to the rest of society that you are a part of the targeted demographic? Something about being compelled to wear certain symbols on armbands or pinned to clothing as prescribed by a government doing the oppressing is coming to mind. Do they believe that their special identifying items will be completely invisible to everyone else and only be seen by the like-minded people? No, I think it's just another incarnation of attention seeking. So
Mm.
now you're doing it in the real world. So if you have like one of those, like a blue heart tattoo, and another girl sees your blue heart tattoo, and you can make eye contact. Like they have this fantasy about like this, like this women rise up thing, like from The Handmaid's Tale. Wasn't there like a thing where the handmaids rise up or something? Like they're just living in a young adult novel. That's what it is. They're living in a young adult novel, and they're ready to fight, like, the oppressive regime. And the truth is, they just weren't prepared for what happened because they were in a bubble, and they have no concept of why things went the way they went, because they were listening to the cathedral that was telling them over and over. They were gaslit into believing these lies, and when it came out this way, they're like, oh my god, the whole country is evil. So anyway, let's get to the reactions.
Someone tell me. I can tell you one thing right now. Marriage is the farthest thing from on the table currently. So they screwed the pooch on that one.
Okay, wait. Like, was it ever on the table for a woman like this?
Yeah, I don't think that it was. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like, it's easy to just be like, now I'm not going to date men. It's like, well, yeah, but you weren't dating them probably anyway, or at least not seriously.
Also, okay, let me try to explain to you guys the logistics of what's happening with men in the dating sphere. Like, I think 2 years, and that was a couple of years ago, 10% of men, full 10% of men in like a year and a half decided to opt out of it. And it's higher now. It's probably much higher. Okay, so men are opting out. The likelihood that you're going to get married, is zero. And it's not going to be because you did a strike. It's because it's not an option for you anymore. Like, seriously, the men who remain seeking a woman are not seeking you. Like, are they?
Yep.
No, they're not.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, essentially, it's like, thanks for telling us, but we already knew. Like that, like.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that she isn't like she's boycotting somebody who's already on strike. It's like they're already. I'm not even interested.
Yeah, it's like, I quit. No, you're fired.
Yeah, no, I fired you like 2 years ago, lady. Like, the average man, I fired you 2 years ago. Now she's waking up and she's like, well, I quit. It's too late.
And they're not gonna desire the men who voted like for their party. Like that. Yeah, it's not like if you were one of the, well, I voted blue, baby, that's not gonna work for you guys. Like, they don't want that.
Like, it's like,
do you remember the trucker protest? They're so rugged.
Yeah, I remember that. I could just, this woman was like on, I don't know, 2X. She's like, oh, I just think about them getting so sweaty and in their big.
I mean, they're obviously Nazis, but they're so rugged.
I can't help thinking about how rugged they are. And how unwashed. I could wash their socks. Like that kind
of exactly. By hand in the river. Anyway, let's play some more. Is she well known? No.
That any of this was going to actually help with the whole family and kids department and lowering birth rates, because no.
You guys weren't having sex. You were having sex, but you're having abortions. Like that, you're the entire contingent that wants to raw dog and then abort. Like, you're not having kids. That was the point, wasn't it?
Well, he's holding something over men's heads that's not there. It was never there to begin with.
It was never there to begin with. You're just okay before, like, you know what? It has floated out of my mind. So let's.
We
keep
should
going.
get to the Hannah Cox's reaction, but I do want to play
Sure.
a couple of these clips because, just to set the
They're-
tone, set
They're
the mood.
amazing in and of themselves. And the funny thing is
They
that this
are.
isn't even the worst reaction.
Oh no.
They keep setting new lows.
I think the poison is probably the lowest.
This is the lowest. Yeah.
The desire to murder people and hire hitmen. That's the but you know what? I think this is actually like educational for people. So that you can see, like, people are probably looking at this and are like, holy shit, women are capable of some fucked up shit.
Yes.
And we're like, yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes,
like
they
I've
are.
been saying for how long? And
Yeah.
getting so much pushback. You know what else women are capable of? Domestic violence and sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
To
That's right.
great degrees. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. I got a Rumble rant from OIC for $1. Thank you. Didn't the women's try this strike over 2 years ago after SCOTUS ruled how to handle abortion? One would think that if it didn't have effect the first time, they wouldn't try it again. Well, even their goddess, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, agreed with the decision. So, But anyway, let's play the video.
Semblance of thoughts I had or hope for that is completely going to be a no thanks for me, love. I think I would ever even dare.
Congratulations. You have tendered your resignation to a company that fired you 2 years ago. Like,
bring a child into this country now. It was rough before. Now, no.
your only issue that you voted on was not bringing children into the country.
Yeah, right. You voted on that, and now you're basically saying, well, we're not going to have. Well, you were either going to murder them or not have them to begin with. I guess I go with the latter.
Yeah, like if you're now not going to have sex to create the children that you were originally going to abort, you know what? And the funny thing is that I am pro-choice, but the people who are pro-choice are the biggest argument for pro-life. I'm going to be honest about that. Like, I believe that this is something that should be very carefully thought about, and I think people should have the right to be able to choose these things in their lives. But you guys are so trifling about this behavior. Like, you don't give it the gravitas it needs. And you've turned it into some kind of virtue. And that is freaking disturbing. I remember I got into an argument with a person and I said that I believe in pro-choice, but abortion is a necessary evil at best. At best. And they were like, oh, I can't believe that. I was like, okay, do you agree with me? And I was basically calling out pro-choice people for not recognizing that abortion is a necessary evil at best. And that person was like, oh, I can't believe you would say that about pro-choice people. And I just asked her point blank, do you consider it a necessary evil? No answer.
No. Remember when they used to say safe, legal? Remember when they used to say safe, legal, and rare? Like Bill Clinton said that?
Mm-hmm.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. All right. Yeah. Nice Led Zeppelin reference, by the way, but okay.
I remember
the thought from before.
The thought floated back into my consciousness. Okay, so first of all, she doesn't look very. In these stills, you often get the Duper's Delight smile again. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's so like that. That's some serious crocodile's tears that she's crying. She's enjoying the fact that she thinks she's doing something cruel, except she's screaming into an empty stadium. I'm bullying you, and there's nobody in the seats. Nobody listening, lady. You're bullying a non-existent person that cares. But anyway, what I was going to say is feminism, the way that you actually win is by taking feminist men and leftist men, fucking their brains out and having 10 children with them. That's how you win. That's how you win the feminist future. What you're doing is making sure that feminism becomes a psychotic footnote that entire religions form around avoiding. Okay.
Yep. Okay,
I'm just
let's
saying,
play some more of the video.
Gross, the idea
okay.
of feminists and feminists.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started about dating. To think I was still entertaining a few moderates here and there sometimes. No, honey, no. Not even close. That's never.
What?
Goodbye.
You were entertaining a few moderates sometimes. Okay, so you weren't actually, it wasn't on offer. What you're saying is that you let a moderate pay for a food call foodie call. Ugh, gross.
All right, let's play the next one.
Yeah,
like my
dude.
man.
I am going to hold
Did
their
you
hand
make
when I
that
say this,
coffee?
but
Did you make? She went
She
to the
said, "I
trouble.
like my coffee like I like my men." She made a cup of coffee and then poured it into the sink, threw the cup down, and gave it the finger.
Can I say?
Take that, men. Take that.
Take my incredibly stupid, childish metaphor. I'm just saying, like, lady, you have cream in that coffee. You're not a real woman unless you drink it black. And this isn't even coffee. It's like, what is it? Espresso? No.
What are you
Like,
drinking? Is that
I'm-
espresso?
Yeah, like
Mm.
in this cup.
Oh yeah, I have that. I use that cup to drink tea at night before bed.
Yeah, but this is coffee. This is the kind of coffee that actually has the consistency of half and half cream
Mhm.
because it's
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know
for
what
sure,
it's
for
called.
sure.
I think it's espresso, but it might be no, it's not cappuccino. Cappuccino. has-
Americano.
No.
Okay.
Let
I
me
don't know. I don't know. Let's move on. I got a Rumble rant, a big one. Thank you, Occupant 42, for a $20 Rumble rant. Says, when you choose to engage in something that can result in pregnancy, that is
Espresso.
your exercise of choice. You don't get to choose not to deal with the consequences. Thank you,
Yeah?
Occupant 42. Yeah, I mean, like, we have to face facts. That's the reality. So,
And people
Um,
saying that they don't want to pay for your post-conception abortion post-conception birth control methods is not them controlling your body. It's them controlling their own wallet. Ugh. Okay.
all right, let's play some more. This is Hannah Cox.
Yeah,
She
so
says, I'm
finally
going
we
to
got
hold.
Hannah Cox.
We get to Hannah Cox, and she says, I'm holding their hand when I say this.
making yourself physically unappealing is not going to fix things politically. It's actually probably just going to make you feel worse about yourself and further your mental health issues that you are clearly experiencing. I am all for pushing back on beauty standards when they are unrealistic or when they are inauthentic to you or that keep you trapped on a consumerism treadmill. But I also know, as much as people don't want to hear it, that ultimately people tend to listen to and trust attractive people more. So if you want to organize.
Do you think she's talking about herself a little bit there? Like, take it from somebody who knows from personal experience. People listen to attractive people more. Is Hannah Cox throwing shade at these women? Like, okay, so she doesn't really get that much deeper here, but I will say that what she is essentially saying is that she's approaching this from the perspective of what is expedient to these women. Like, what is going to get them to the thing they want, which is essentially just access to abortions, which they don't not have access to now anyway. Like, there are no calls for a federal ban at any reasonable level. That Trump had never had the intention of doing that. He always wanted it to go to the states, just like most things. This is what it was supposed to be, not a big federal thing. We knew that Roe v. Wade was bad law anyway. It needed to be overturned. Like I said before, Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself said, this is bad law. It's not sustainable. And sure enough, it went away. And I think that what these women are doing is essentially just throwing tantrums. They're like children. If you've ever been a child or been with somebody who has kids and you go to a department store and you avoid the toy section, this is when toys were cool. And or your child or the child will throw a tantrum if you don't buy them the whatever toy they want. And that's what these women are doing. They're throwing tantrums because they want access to something that they may never even actually use. They may never actually exercise it, but they can't stand the idea that anybody else is having an opinion on it, and they're throwing tantrums. And Hannah Cox is treating it like a legitimate, political position that they should be fighting for, and that they're just going about it the wrong way. So she's essentially arguing from a kind of like consequentialist perspective, as opposed to saying, well, why don't we try to understand why things went this way and explain to these women that maybe this isn't as bad as you think it is. Like, if it's just been sent back to the States and you don't like the way your state has laws, then maybe you should relocate, because that approach has always been the United States
Invest in your local governance.
Yeah,
Like,
or
get involved.
try to get it changed in your local government. But like, you know, cutting off your nipples and shaving your head and like covering yourself in tattoos and yelling and screaming and crying and throwing coffee is not going to actually
Yeah, but
affect policy. It just makes you look like a child.
Yeah, but Brian, actually making an effort on the local level or in your personal life to go where you have local support, that's taking responsibility for yourself. You know, that's just for men and oppressed people, you know, not for women. Okay, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's play some more.
Organize, if you want to build coalitions, if you want to lobby for or against legislation, you don't have to be like the most beautiful person in the world, but you do kind of need to be presentable. You do have to look like you groom daily and that you aren't crying in that shower while you groom. Like, truly, I do not understand how these women think they are hurting.
What the fuck trifling bullshit is this?
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, kind of like that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not talking about
You're having
like the subject. She's talking about the way the women are reacting.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of
even
saying,
I'm
you
like
know,
almost inclined to defend these women. Like,
yeah.
whatever. Can we analyze their actual position? Do we have to analyze their lack of, I don't know.
Well, they're not even really like, they're just saying things like, I'm going to shave my head, or I'm going to put a, like, if they're already doing that, then they're already kind of like, they already have problems. You know what I mean? Like, if you're already at the point where you're like, I'm going to shave my head, I'm going to put a tattoo, I'm going to stop bathing. Like, they already have issues that need to be worked out before this. Like, this has just pushed them over the edge in some way.
You know what? I don't
So-
even think Hannah Cox is really ready for the implications of this election. Because if
No.
I'm right, and I think like a lot of people are noticing this, we're seeing the very first time, like genuinely, that men are deciding an election.
And there are women supporting them too.
And there are women supporting them.
Yep.
And like the idea of a collective awakening of men, they won't need to have to appeal or even think about appealing to women like Hannah Cox. And honestly, I think that men should think about this, because do you think women find a man who is constantly chasing their bullshit attractive, or a man who says, no, this is what needs to happen and I'm going to make it happen? Which do you think women find more attractive at the end of the day? Ignore the 30 to, I don't know, 48% of women who are having a hysterical meltdown. Keep doing what's right for your society, for your culture, for your country. And I include all of the West in that. Keep pushing this and realize that your self-interest is everyone's self-interest. I know this sounds really maybe contradictory, but in my opinion, what men want is they want a meritocracy. They want a healthy meritocracy to compete within, to create pro-social status, to cooperate, to build. And in the end of the day, why do they want that? So that they can give it to women, right? So that they can make women a part of it, right? And that's the thing. It's like, until women actually demonstrate, and maybe they are now, maybe they are in this election, actually demonstrate that they are going to protect and provide for men the same way that men protect and provide for women, we need a system that acknowledges that isn't the case. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We need, and like I said, you know, men, your well-being, you can put it first. You have the right. And not only do you have the right, I think at the end of the day, it's going to make everybody better. Right?
Yep.
Like your desire to compete is a good thing. Your ability to compete and cooperate at the same time is why we have a civilization in the first place. You know, and I don't think that, like, but to bring it back to the topic of Hannah Cox, I don't think she's ready for a world in which men have to be appealed to politically. And men's interests, men's values, men's principles, what men need to actualize themselves, that has to be appealed to politically. I don't think she's ready for that world, because she still thinks she's setting the agenda.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's really what needs to stop, is the idea that women are the ones who set the agenda. At the very least, men hold up half the sky, so they should have half the agenda. And believe me, they've had less than half for how long? Well, most of human history, really. But anyway, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going. Here we go. Hold on a second.
Anybody but themselves with this plan. Anybody but themselves, and also largely female business owners, because if you're striking against the beauty industry, it is mostly owned and operated, often at the local level, by women. And the irony here is that by trying to hurt the economy in this way, they're just continuing to miss the mark on what drove people to support Trump in the first place. In response to the video of the
Again, it's weirdly irrelevant, but go ahead. Go ahead. You go.
No, but I mean, she's got a point. Like she said, they're cutting off their nose despite they're actually harming women. And honestly, like, that's true. When women do go on these strikes, it's almost like the protests, George Floyd protests, in which they burnt down their own neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's a good point. And yeah, okay, that's all I wanted to say.
It is a little bit rich that she said earlier in this very same video that she doesn't like agree with, you know, unrealistic beauty standards and consumerism, and then goes, well, why aren't you buying makeup? Like, it's like, what? I don't know. It's a bit weird to me. A bit weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
You know, it's a bit weird. And also, I didn't really hear, like, I don't think this is like a symptom that you're talking about. It's not really the important part, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Girl claiming she's not going to paint her nails anymore. I loved this comment that said, wait, so how is not having your nails done affecting anything? Like, the logic is not strong here. And another person said, I can't begin to count the nail appointments I've canceled under this administration and economy because I couldn't afford it. Looking forward to getting my nails done and a chiro adjustment next year. Like, whoosh, the point goes right over their head. People largely voted for Trump because they were economically desperate.
All right. Can I just say I know we're not supposed to talk about Trump. I'm not going to talk about Trump, but it is also really interesting that these women are talking about some of the most luxurious shit that they're going to like miss or enjoy in the and Hannah Cox is saying they voted because they were economically desperate. Well, yes, but also it just was the right thing for most people. Like closing, like, the immigration affects the economy, right? Inflation affects the economy. Where we get our energy affects the economy. People wanted to be able to afford things. It's not like they're economically desperate, so they went for the Hail Mary pass and they elected the guy that's like the worst for whatever reason. No, they looked at what was practical and pragmatic. This guy's going to help us, has our interests in mind. This other person is interested in funding foreign wars and throwing our money all over the place, except for where it needs to be thrown, which is, you know, like, maybe let us keep more of our own shit. And that's it. Like, and these women are like, oh man, my nails though. It's like, what about my food? You know,
none of it had to do with misogyny, but that's what I wanted. It's completely like the left makes it, or the threat narrative party makes it about misogyny because that's the only thing they have. Because they really are about subjugating the minority, subjugating the majority. Like this minority of deep state, or what did Karen call it? Not association state,
the administrative state.
Yeah. The minority of this
bureaucracy.
Like, it's like toxic bureaucracy. And they are using this women as a threat narrative in order to defend their own interests. That's all it is. Like, they're just, this is the lie that they're hiding behind. And you can see look at the campaign on the other side, why people are voting for Trump. It's because of the economy. It's because of the wars. It's because of the emergency response that was pathetic. Okay. It's because the government doesn't appear to have the interests of its own citizens at heart, because, again, it has become a bureaucratic aristocracy subjugating everyone else. This has nothing to do with men and women. The left's the left makes it that way because they have no moral foundation, no moral platform to stand on. And what's interesting is that she's not going to cover the really extreme and psychotic reactions of women. Now, so I was right. I didn't actually watch this. Brian watched this, and sorry, spoilers, guys. She's only going to cover the ones who are like, I'm not going to get my nails done, and I'm not going to get
she does go into the 4B movement. That's probably about as extreme as it gets.
Let's go to that.
That's coming up. Yeah, that's actually coming right up here. We're at 7:57. But yeah, it's like one. I think it's very close now.
We don't cover the whole freaking video because it's too long.
No. We're just gonna do the 4B thing. I think there's like one other section that might be okay.
And they have said as much for like 2-3 years. Democrats just didn't care. They did not care about the working class people. They did not care that people were hurting in their economy. They just kept trying to gaslight them and tell them, no, the economy's great. The economy's great. What are you talking about, you racist? It didn't work. It was never going to work. And it's so ironic that
yeah,
I guess they called it racist, but I think more than that, they called it misogynist.
Yes, they did. She said working class people. She doesn't say men. I think it's mostly men, honestly. And it's not just men. It's like fathers of families that are trying to provide. You know.
Can I just put something out there? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Guys, watch her video and decide for yourselves. But it's almost like she's playing a bit of what is the right word for it? She's caping a little bit to try to smooth out or reduce the fact of how much the left pushed this men versus women narrative. See what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. So it's a shell game for sure, because that is like they did use all the other identity politics stuff, but the misogyny was the most powerful move. And the truth of it is because they knew that the first of all, the majority of the population is female. Second of all, women were at the time way more likely to go out and vote. Thirdly, they were also easier to sort of propagandize and gaslight into voting in their own best interest. Men, less so. They were less enthusiastic about voting. There are fewer of them. So, like, generally, like, women kind of like have mostly made the decisions about these, sort of political moves, and they knew that. And so, like, when it didn't look like it was going to go that way, they shamed men. And I mean, they shamed men hard. We went through several campaigns that they had where they were like, Barack Obama came out, shamed the black men. They shamed, like, all of them. And now all of the men, Latinos especially, you're welcome, came out and they said, nope, we're not doing this anymore. Sick of your shit. That's it. And now they're still attacking men. I mean, the mask is all the way off because they've lost, so they might as well.
Are black people doing TikTok saying, I'm not going to serve white people in the restaurant, or like, I'm not going to approve a white person's loan in a bank? I'm going to start poisoning white people. Are black people doing this? No, it's women. A little. Okay.
Well, it's women, but black women too. Black women too. Yeah.
Women, but are they doing it towards white people, or are they doing it towards black men?
No, they're doing it to men. They're doing it to men. So the insanity, the end result of all of this, like, we've seen this election, and where is the insanity afterwards, and what is it directed at? It's from these women, and I have to say these. I can finally say these because this is apparently a minority of women. It actually genuinely is a minority of women are directing it at men. That's kind of nice to know, though, isn't it, Allison?
Yes,
that they're a minority. It's like
that there's at least
terminally online women. It's terminally online women. I think
at least half of women have some sanity left. But yes. They're actually recognizing that the left isn't voting for their interests because the left only uses women as part of their passion play about how men have destroyed the world. And the thing is that, again, this is what I'm seeing. What demographic is going apeshit and directing their hatred towards what other demographic? This election happened. These women are threatening, abusing, engaging in this nasty rhetoric towards men. It doesn't matter. Like, we can, like, the right and everybody who voted for the right can say, this has nothing to do with gender. Oh, but it seems it does. for the category of people that supports the insanity that you're fighting against. They very much see it in terms of gender, and they very much see it in terms of women against men more than anything else, more than any other category. And they even see the trans issues as women against men, because they see trans women as women, and everybody who opposes them is men. That includes TERFs that hate men and want to reduce them to 10%. The people on the left, the women on the left, see those women as men. It's all women against patriarchy.
All right, so I got a super chow.
Okay, cool.
From Anonymous, who gives us $15 and says, I love listening to Allison go berserk beast mode years ago, and I learned a lot as a former feminist. Now I watch the badgers for Brian going berserk and yelling in frustration. Brian is the one badger right now who is saying things that I don't already know, and he makes me rethink my beliefs, especially the last few years. Sorry, Allison and Hannah, but Brian's insights make the podcast refreshing and exciting right now. I guess men are just better at everything. Well, look, I didn't know he was going to go there, so I'm sorry. But thank you for the super chow nonetheless. So, all right.
No, it's fine. I mean, a lot of the times I get a lot of compliments on my insight. So it's fair to have, everybody has their favorites, right? Some people really like Karen. A lot of people really like Karen. Some people really like Hannah. So it's fine that there is
everybody's got their favorites.
Yeah, everyone's got their favorites. It doesn't matter as long as you tune in and listen. Because I know
mine is Dr. Randermer. He's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my father's favorite. Get this, Brian. My father's favorite is Dr. Randermer. Okay, so this guy who's like my favorite is Brian.
I love hanging out with Mike. I'm so sorry that he didn't come out to the meetup, because I was looking forward to just hanging out with him and singing songs. That's it.
Yeah,
singing songs with JoJo, but I mean, he ran into some problems, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, dude who put in this, beat my father having a favorite that isn't me.
Although, I gotta say, like, if going back real quick to that free speech thing that Trump put out, that video, if that happens, like, and it's not only like, because it just sounds too good to be true, like Lindsay was tearing up at it, but if he can get the Department of Homeland Security off our ass, and that we're able to like remonetize our content, like Mike should have a million. Mike should have a million subscribers.
Yes,
like he's like so talented. So maybe I don't know.
On the other hand, like, he's also a little bit. I think he's really rarefied because he's so brilliant. People tend to like, the average person tends to like a bit schlocky stuff.
But he does them. It's the music that I think that his music is what will put him.
Yeah. But if this can, Lindsay really liked that speech too. I liked the speech from what I saw.
She did. She felt that it was very genuine, and I mean, like, look, whether or not it's going to happen, I think that it doesn't really matter, because we know that this is essentially it's like. Okay, I'll put it like this. It's being a Christian is difficult because the standard that you have to meet is extremely high. It's basically impossible, right? You want to live as much like Christ or Mary as possible, whether you're a man or a woman. But if you know the direction you're aimed, it makes a big difference. It actually makes a world of difference, because now where your guiding star is at, what your direction is. So sometimes when somebody just says, this is what I want to do, and this is why, even if it seems lofty, even if it seems impossible, the fact that they're pointed in the right direction, I think, makes all the difference in the world. Like, this is like Paul said, when I sat down with Paul, and I never got around to it, he said that one of the things he really appreciated about us is our authenticity, that we weren't playing a character. We're not doing a bit. When I sit here, and then some of the people who met us at the meetup said, these are the same people that you see online, because that is, I don't know how to do somebody else. I don't know how to play a character.
Yeah,
so
I know.
That's what I appreciate. What?
The character's Raven Moon Dragon.
I can't do characters. Sometimes I do impressions for fun, but my point is that, like,
We should totally do
I
a
think
sex
that was
strike.
authentic, and I think that
We
it. I
should
think that
totally
it
do a
does.
sex strike. We should totally do it. It's gonna totally get men to care about what we have to say and think of us as serious people that actually have more to
Shut
offer.
up, silly
That more
woman.
no, you can't even. My mouth,
Shut up.
my mouth, my words, my choice. I mean, you gotta think of me as a serious person. Like seriously, I'm not gonna give you my cooch until you do.
I stopped listening. I don't need your cooch. I have plenty of cooch. I have all the cooch, the greatest cooch, the best cooch, huge cooch.
Spacious
Anyway.
cooch.
I got another super. So thank you, Anonymous, for that. I appreciate it. I thought somebody else said, oh yeah, Richard Pierre gave us $5 and says, getting excited to see the Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer ticket for the 2028 Democratic campaign. Well, I think they might be doubling down, but it's too soon. Let's not get into that right now. Let's just enjoy our W. Great Indoors says for $5, Clear's Throat. Experts say that women's sandwiches are safe and effective. Any information saying otherwise is clearly being misogynistic and should not be trusted, end quote. Poison Ivy. Yes, the Batman one, right? Okay, so we're going to get into the 4B thing. So let's check that out.
Yeah, let's check that out.
People continue to somehow believe their own BS, that they are like the champions of the working class. No, you're not. You won't even listen to them when they tell you that they're suffering. Instead, you just keep pushing your socialist crap agenda because that's what you actually care about. And it hurts people. It's not hard to know that. You can study every single time any percentage of socialism has been attempted and watch it hurt people. Okay? You're not a bleeding heart if you refuse to learn economics. Period. Capitalism is what helps poor people. Socialism hurts them. And even if you refuse to accept it, and even if the people don't understand economics, they know that it sucks when they're experiencing it.
The ABCs of libertarianism. Okay, thanks for that. Did you guys know that capitalism is better than socialism? Do you guys know that? I did not know that. I just learned that. Anyway, let's listen to more. Now we're getting to the 4B stuff.
All right, let's get into the 4B stuff, and then let's move.
And they're going to pick the closest option they can get to go in the other direction. And that's what Trump provided. Not full-throated capitalism by no means. That's why I've never supported him. But it's a hell of a lot closer than whatever the crap it was the DNC was offering. Aside from the very bizarre decisions to destroy their own looks, the anger at men in these videos is wild. For the record, only about 55% of men voted nationally for Trump compared to about 45% of men. So yeah, like men swung for Trump, but it wasn't in this just like crazy numbers. And number two, people had two options, only two. Okay. I am so sick of all of these idiots coming online and pretending like because the masses voted for Trump, that all means that they adore Trump and are in lockstep with him and are co-signed to the worst parts of his ideas and his agenda. That is so naive and stupid. It's willfully uneducated. Wait,
I thought the 4B thing was like right here. Now I gotta move up and find it. No, it's all right.
You need a moment to just
and left. You can't control the rest of the country.
Well, no, I'm just, the thing is that Hannah Cox doesn't realize is that it doesn't matter that only a slight majority voted that way. These women don't think any men should vote that way. Like that, like that's what I'm saying. Like the entitlement is through the roof. Allison, you dropped. You're back.
Oh, sorry, that was entirely my fault. I hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
So yeah, I mean, like it's really all it is that the women. It's not that only a slight majority of men voted that way. The women have a problem with any men voting that way. It should have been 100% in the tank for Harris. Like because the women believe that you're either on their side, which means you're still in their good graces and you're not a monster, or you are the devil. So those are your two choices.
Country by picking their primary candidate that we all then have to live with. Get smarter. Good Lord. Like I am fed up this week. If you actually listen to the vast majority of men talk about what attracted them to Trump, it is not because they are racist to disenfranchise them, or it's coming from a place of economic desperation. All men and opt into the 4B movement. Now, I'm going to have to define the 4B movement for you guys.
All right.
Sure, because
right.
it is an extremely
actually, there's-
online conversation.
Okay, so she's okay, so she essentially covers the 4B movement, also like the I'm just looking at the transcript right now. So she has
Yeah.
a woman with a cat on her couch and says, my part as an American woman, I'm doing my part as an American woman, breaking up with my Republican boyfriend last night and officially joining the 4B movement this morning. I don't think so. Well, but you know what, lady? Good for you. Now he's freed up to find a woman who actually is sensible. Because a Republican boyfriend, like that's if that actually exists, I don't think he's losing much. And then the next one is at 12. Now I'm going to have to define the 4B movement for you guys.
Yeah, 12:14 is where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go with that then?
Yeah, we'll start from here. Play it from here.
But here's a quick summary. The 4B movement is a feminist movement from South Korea that emerged around 2019 as a response to traditional gender expectations in a highly patriarchal society.
No.
It refers to forward jack.
Oh, you don't think it is? But Hannah Cox said so. She's the reasonable feminist.
Oh
The
God.
4B movement was obviously a response to gender roles and misogyny. In South Korea, it's really bad, guys. it's South Korea.
I want to
South
see
Korea said to Saudi Arabia, "Hold my, chai tea. Let me hold my pho."
This is retarded. Oh, like the entire narrative of patriarchy is the problem. It's why the left does what it does. It like patriarchy is the poison that was seeded everywhere to make women respond to the threat narrative that they use to try to hide their activities now. Right? That's where it starts. If you want to stop this shit, kick out patriarchy. Kick it out. The whole concept of it, of men constructing a society for their own benefit at the expense of women. Really? Men have constructed a society for their own benefit at the expense of women, and yet throughout human history, men's role has been the one that died more often, that had to do the more destructive and dangerous things. And it's really strange, but when I look throughout history, even going back to, like, for example, ancient Rome, men would hire people to carry their wives while they walked beside them. Is that really the characterization between a slave owner and a slave? The slave owner hires a cart to carry their slaves while they walk? Not like a cart with a, like somebody who like hires a way like that so that their slave can ride in comfort while they walk. And over and over and over and over again, you see this behavior of men being conciliatory towards women's comfort. And this is the situation that feminists characterize as men oppressing women. No, look at the historical norms. There was always an expectation that men serve women's comfort and make sure women are protected and provided for to the expense of men themselves. This patriarchy shit is shit. It is absolutely, and even if you know what? I'm getting into I am falling into the trap. And I'll tell you what trap I'm falling into. I am trying to disprove something that has never been proven. Feminist patriarchy has never been proven. In fact, it has never even taken the first step of being framed in a way that could be proven true or false. It is completely conjecture. It's completely somebody just scribbled some shit down on a napkin once. That's how scientific it is. It could be, I think the world is actually constructed by gnomes drawing it every 30 times a second. It is completely unscientific. It is so unscientific, it corrupts the entirety of the scientific community with its presence in academia. This is absolute shit. You don't even have to prove it wrong because it has never been proven true. It has never even been framed in a way that could be proven true or false. It is so wrong. It is not even wrong. Okay? It is beyond wrong. And the fact that she is using it as a debate item gives power to the people who use this crap to construct the threat narrative to defend themselves. The deep state, I'm just going to use the word deep state because I'm going to constantly fumble Karen's phrasing. The deep state using this threat narrative, the patriarchy threat narrative, to defend itself. You are giving them that, Hannah. You are caping for them. You
Well,
are
yeah,
running
but
interference for them.
but Hannah Cox believes in patriarchy, though. She is a believer. Like, she just thinks that, well, I don't know, like somehow libertarianism will be a solution to that or something. Like, but she does believe in patriarchy. Like, she, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think this is a serious person. I think this
Patriarchy
is a
conjecture
person that knows where her butter is, or her bread is
is
buttered.
a weapon the state uses to expand itself.
Yes, it does. That's true.
This is the primary weapon. Every other weapon is secondary. Civil rights, trans rights, every other weapon is secondary to the feminist patriarchy conjecture as a weapon. It uses it to expand itself because it's always, oh, women need help. Women need to be saved from men and men's choices, which when you analyze it actually look like women's choices. This is what the state uses to expand itself and protect itself. So if the moment the word patriarchy comes out of your mouth, you're a statist. Shut the fuck up. You're not a libertarian. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was definitely me taking a side. I apologize.
What? No, she isn't a libertarian. Okay.
Actions central to the movement's philosophy: rejecting dating men, marriage, sex with men, and having children. Proponents of 4B advocate for women's autonomy, seeing these choices as a means to avoid traditional structures they argue often lead to inequality and oppression for women in South Korea. The movement empowers women by promoting independence from the pressures of traditional heterosexual relationships and family obligations. Though popular with many younger women seeking control of their lives, the 4B movement has sparked debate. Critics argued that its principles can be overly radical, possibly alienating those who might still want traditional relationships with men but advocate for equality within them. Others raised concerns about the sustainability of the 4B lifestyle and whether it addresses the root causes of gender inequality. Despite the controversies, the 4B movement has influenced broader discussions on feminism, gender norms, and social.
Is women deciding that equality fails. Like if what you're doing is you're doing a sex strike in a society, and so as far as I can tell, South Korea actually is progressive in a lot of ways, at least when it comes to women's rights.
Yes. Well, it is basically like it's pretty woke over there. Like, at least, but it is like within its own culture. So, like the Far East societies are relatively homogenous. South Korea being one of them. I don't think that's bad, but like that is the fact of it because of their language and culture. But yeah, it's a pretty liberal society, definitely more so than North Korea. But here's the irony, though. North Korea has better birth rates than South Korea does. South Korea has got the lowest birth rates in the world, I believe, and it is basically at an unsustainable level.
What does that say?
It wouldn't be surprising that the 4B movement didn't have some impact on that. And the thing is too is that they want to bring that here. I want to say something about that later, but go ahead, Allison.
Okay. North Korea is breeding more than South Korea. What does that say about the future viability of the more progressive South Korea? You ladies, you're just screwing yourselves. Or you're not screwing yourselves. You're not screwing anyone, but you are screwing the future generation of women. Because if the cultures that give women rights cannot breed, they will disappear and they will be replaced by cultures that don't. Period. You are just making sure that this is a footnote, that giving women rights, as you saw it, like I'm pretty sure that this is completely a fractured and stupid narrative to use, but you're essentially saying that the culture that actually complies with you, actually granted your right to vote, and all of the other things that you hold dear, you are not going to see perpetuate into the future. And in fact, it will be replaced by all the cultures that didn't. Congratulations.
For the record,
congratulations.
And for the record, North Korea's birth rates are also really low. So low, in fact, that Kim Jong-un had to deliver a tearful speech begging women of North Korea to have babies. Yes, the super authoritarian, crazy ass rocket man dictator still had to basically bend the knee to women and ask them to please have babies. It's almost like at the end of the day, women are ultimately the gatekeepers to reproduction, and they're the ones that make the decisions about that, even in a country like North Korea.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Norse. I know this is a real segue. Look at like the Norse, not mythology, but the legends. You know, there was I think it was Brunhild. No, Grunhild, Grunar or Grunner.
Brunhild. Oh,
No,
sorry,
it was somebody else beyond that. I don't know her exact name, but it was the Saga of the Volsung, so you can look it up. She essentially was married off to Attila, and they think that might have been Attila the Hun. But she was like, I don't want to get married to you. And if you marry me because you killed my brother, I'm gonna kill our children. And that's exactly what she did. You know, and she completely ended his line. Be out of an act of revenge. But I mean, there's sort of a message there. Yes, you know, there has to be consent from women to actually perpetuate your species, which is why everybody gave you ladies all the rights you wanted. And then you turn around and you gave us other rights. We're going to thank you by totally destroying the society that gave us rights. Well, congratulations. You played yourself. All right.
Yeah.
Equality and is often seen as part of a larger shift in South Korea's feminist landscape. So now you have a bunch of American women saying that they are going to opt into the 4B movement because Trump won and they want to punish men for that. And one weird thing I observed is the number of women in their comments being like, oh, guess I'm already in it. I've been doing this for a long time. And it kind of made me laugh because it's sort of just like the foil to the incel movement, the involuntary celibate movement, except these women are claiming it's by choice. But I'm like, how much is it by choice if you've already accidentally been doing it with no agenda?
Again, she's flexing on other women. It's funny. But also she gets, again, it's like this woman keeps getting it wrong. The incels are not a movement.
Yeah.
What are the goals, Hannah? What's the agenda? Can you show me the incel manifesto? Show me what the list of demands is that they have. Like what are they moving towards? I mean, they have frustrations. They air their grievances, and it's completely understandable, but like they're not a movement. The 4B is a movement. And here's the thing I wanted to say about the movement that I thought was that the 4B thing that these women are doing. I think she's going to show some videos though, maybe. So I'll see. No, I think she's just like talking about it. So here's the thing that I think is really interesting about this. So when the election was coming up and the Dems, the left, made it all about abortion. And that was like the only thing to talk about was abortion. Part of it was to distract from the, Israel-Palestine thing, because that was a losing issue for the left as well, since they didn't know what side to take, because you're either going to be Islamophobic or, anti-Semitic. And that was like a losing battle. So they were like, okay, Roe v. Wade. Remember Roe v. Wade? Yeah, ladies, they're going to control your bodies. Handmaid's Tale's coming, all that, right? So,
well, it's also sort of coincidence that they went back to men versus women again. Corey,
well, yeah, they did. But I mean, that was like an easier thing to lean on is what I'm saying. And it's also like a more relatable issue because, the Middle East for Americans pretty far away. We're pretty far removed from that. We don't really, most average normie voters are not thinking about that. They're looking at their, they're looking at their grocery bill. They're looking at how much the gas costs. They're looking at the border. And so they had to make it more closer to home in order to make an impact. And the discussion was on one side, you had, the people who were looking at those things that I just said. They were worried about the southern border. They were worried about inflation. They were worried about the cost of gas and the cost of energy and like the cost of living. And they wanted these things addressed. And that was like all of these. And to some degree, they were concerned about foreign wars. They didn't want, especially the men, they didn't want to end up getting like sent off to fight in World War III, which we've been on the brink of for some months now with all kinds of conflicts heating up all over the world. And the men were looking at those things. And I think that those are reasonable things to look at. On the other side, there was just abortion. That was it. And so the women were like, well, we want abortions. And it's like, so you don't care about the southern border. You don't care about illegal immigration. You don't care about the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment complexes. You don't care about like the crime rates going way up. You don't care about the fact that gas is like twice the price it was 4 years ago. You don't care about the fact that groceries are super expensive. You know, you only care about like the possibility that maybe someday you might need to get an abortion, and that for whatever reason, no one's going to let you, and it's going to lead to the Handmaid's Tale. And women were saying that they would essentially vote to destroy the country just to get back at men. And that was literally on the docket. We covered it in videos before. We covered it on here with people, you know, like Lauren Southern, supposedly, you know, intellectual centrists that were like, Cat Turd said something edgy on Twitter, and now we should destroy everything with our vote because we have the vote. And
Well,
now
looks
that
like
men... Well, it
that
didn't
didn't-
work because men were like, and other women were like, you guys are crazy. And so they voted against it. So now they're going to do it. They're still going to do it. They're just going to do it by saying, well, we're just going to tank the reproduction rates. And that's actually, it's funny because that's what this thing about the 4B and like women saying, oh, we're not going to give you any coochie anymore. And like, you're not going to get laid anymore, whatever it is. Essentially, it's like the only way to get women to abstain. But it's not just that, but also Manifestel's video was about the same thing. It was about Elon Musk saying, you know, we're having problems with birth rates. There's not going to be any humans. And Manifestel is like, I don't care. As long as we're not going to make babies until you make our lives better, is what she basically said. And it's like, yeah, but without people, you can't make like shit's going to fall apart because there's nobody running everything because there's no people. Like, so it's just funny because ultimately women's solution was before the election, we'll vote to destroy everything. And now after the election, we're just going to destroy everything anyway, in to the degree that we can. And it's, again, it goes back to what I said. It's like a child throwing a tantrum in the toy department at Kmart because you didn't buy them the Lego they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we, does she actually make commentary on 4B at all?
I think she just basically compares them to incels and then like sort of like waves it, like hand waves it, you know?
Yeah, it's
So-
like very, very surface level analysis from this woman, and also a lot of caping because you are poisoning the well by using.
She's giving it to both sides, Allison. She's balanced. She goes after the men and the women. Did you see? She just did that. Totally
Yeah, and yet-
balanced.
Yeah, she goes after the men and the women, but she still uses patriarchy theory or patriarchy conjecture. She still, I mean, you can't get away from that. That is a completely unscientific assertion that has never even, like, it's beyond not even been proven. It's never been framed in a way that could be proven true or false. Right? So it's complete bullshit. It's something some idiot scribbled on a napkin somewhere, and suddenly it became the dominant worldview of everyone. Like, no, you buy into that, then you are ultimately making men culpable. And that you have chosen a side, Hannah. You have chosen a side. And everything after that is noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we move on to the other one?
You want to? Okay.
Yes.
I got a super chow and I got a rumble rant, so I should read those. So Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, in South Korea, the reality annoying, I think he meant really annoying. The really annoying Kirk streamer known as Johnny Somali has been arrested and is in jail for his disrespectful conduct involving the memorial of the comfort women there. There was a crowdfunded bail fund for anyone who would give him somewhat for based on his disrespectful behavior. The fund has paid bail for 3 people so far. I wonder just was serving him that what for in that society. Okay. It was a little, I'm just reading it as it's written. So
Yeah, it's a little bit obscure.
it's a little, yeah, I don't have a legend in front of me. I don't have a decoder ring. But I just read it as it is. So Occupant 42 on Rumble gives us $10. Thank you. And says feminist equality means all the rights, none of the responsibilities, all the good jobs, not the bad jobs. Yes. It means not actually having to make a sacrifice and figuring out how you benefit and just measuring success based on that. So, all right. So should we play more or jump ahead to another bit? Let me see.
Yeah, no, let's go to the next one. I'm enforcing that. Let's get that done.
Okay.
Because
The
they might get
next-
prosecuted.
What's the time code you want me to go to?
No,
There was something about
Manifestel.
extremism. Oh, Manifestel.
Yeah, unless you want to do one more.
No, it's
oh,
okay. All right.
Oh,
I know
God.
this is tough. Okay.
So this
We
is
got-
Manifestel cogitating, girl thinking, girl philosophizing, because she gets to do that now. For the first time, she gets to think about things. Like this is the first time in human history that women are allowed to think. Did you know that, guys? Men
Yeah,
use
they've
their-
never been. We've always been there using our brain waves to prevent women from thinking.
Yeah, so she's gonna cogitate on why the birth rates are crashing. Okay, it's not women's fault, guys.
Guess
We know
what?
that.
Yeah, guess what? It's not women's fault.
It's not women's. We just went through a whole discussion on women deliberately trying to crash the birth rate, and now we're going to go into a discussion on how that's not women's fault.
All right, I'm gonna jump ahead to, I think it's like 9, because there's like trends that she's talking about on TikTok. I don't give a shit about these. This is
Yeah.
like so shallow, by the way, so shallow. There's
It's
a
all
trend,
shallow.
and now I'm gonna base a movement on it. It's like, what? All right, so this is counter movements and societal reactions to the baby bust phenomenon, which we've talked about. The baby Mageddon is what she calls it. So let's take a listen to this.
Women, they can't stand the idea that women are protecting, supporting, and uplifting each other because they
No,
are
you're not.
so starved of attention. They are so starved of affection. They are so starved of positive interaction with people that they will look for attention, whether it's positive or negative, just to be paid attention to, just for their existence to be validated, just to feel something. And that's really sad, but that's not really our problem. Like,
Okay,
if
wait,
you're
but why
going
would
to
that be
engage-
the case in a society that puts men first?
That's a good question, Allison.
Yeah, like
How
why?
is it possible that we live in a male-dominated
How is it-
society and
how
men
is it-
aren't getting assigned women?
Or not even that. Like, how is it that we would live in a male favoring society without men actually being favored more socially? Like in a society that really valued men, wouldn't they be valuable as companions? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, it's not usually the people who are considered the aristocracy who want for company. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's immediately she contradicts her own worldview, because I'm pretty sure Manifestel's world, actually, she probably doesn't have one any more than a hamster does. But she does espouse patriarchy when it's convenient, so I'm going to hold her to that. But you know, like that's so she's already contradicted that right off the bat. She's already contradicted that. I'm sure that this is going. Let me ask you this, because it usually amounts to this: how much of this is blather?
A lot of it. I mean, it's sort of repetitive.
Like, can you give me a percentage? Like how much
Like
blather
half?
versus
Like
half?
half.
Is that a good?
I mean,
average
like
for
I think
Manifesto?
that like you could summarize her thesis in a couple of sentences. You know, like there is a women are in their power. They're standing in their truth now. They have the means to make their own money and have their own jobs and buy their own stuff. They don't need men anymore. And men are lonely, but it's not women's fault. You know, it's obviously like women don't want to
Women
deal with
aren't,
that. It's too much laborious. But also the only means under which women will return, or you know, that men have a chance, you know, like that men deserve that their certain lines to die off because they're not stepping up. And the reason is because they haven't made society, like our civilization, comfortable enough for women to then decide to, like, okay, maybe I'll have babies now. So essentially, and that is why I'm saying it's a self-destructive prophecy, because they're saying we won't give you any babies until you might give us a higher quality of living, even though we're living in the first world, which is better than any medieval king ever lived in history. Even if you're in poverty, you're basically more likely to be obese than starving, you know. And but no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, because Manifestel is so removed from reality. She is so removed from reality. She has no idea that everything that she enjoys, every comfort, every luxury is only made possible because men busted their ass for generations to build it. And they did it for women. They weren't like, it wasn't like, this is for me. It was like, oh, I want to make my wife's life easier. Let's do these things, which was probably a mistake to be like hindsight being 50-50. So
Yeah, 50-50.
but
Yeah, unfortunately, I think giving women a lot of free time led to some really serious shit. But yeah, like, there's some fallacies here. Of course, she appeals. So again, she does appeal to this idea that society is somehow structured for men because women don't live in heaven, I guess. And apparently women are not to blame for the lower birth rates because men haven't achieved a utopian level of comfort for women.
mm-hmm.
All right. Like,
So
well, but the thing is that, but on the other hand, men have constructed or managed to create a society in which women are free to be free and to demand even more from men. And because men haven't given them that more, the birth rate is declining. Is that it?
Mhm.
So the key is for men to give women more.
yeah, that is the key takeaway from this.
Well, it's
That's
always
the
the key
key
takeaway.
It is. That's Manifestel's whole agenda is basically like, can I have more stuff? And if you're not giving more stuff, then what are you worth to me? Like, what is your worth? And and I mean, it's really like cutthroat and materialistic, but that's her whole thing. Like, that's what I mean. Like, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
But this is what she is.
The thing is that being a philosopher is about asking the question of what's the meaning of life, right? And none of this shit's going to give you meaning, Manifestel. I don't even think she knows what she's missing. She just knows she's missing it. Okay, let's I don't know, find something that isn't blather that we can respond to.
Okay. Let me see here. I will jump to well, we're getting to the economic implications, so I can jump to that part.
Good.
So that's like 12 minutes.
Sorta.
I mean, basically it's like what, it's her saying this is what I want, but okay, let's go.
Really revealed to us how poorly we support parents in the US. We've come to see the truth that we've always known but never speak out loud, which is that parenting is really hard and we don't really support parents in that role. So I saw a lot of
That's a quote, by the way, from a CNN panelist. So basically nothing of substance. But okay, so like basically they were saying parenting is expensive and we can't afford it. This is like the excuse that's trotted out. Like I've said this on the show before. I know people who have less than me that have multiple children. They make it work because they love their kids. You can do it. You have to live within your means. Manifestel wants to be able to have kids, but also do her manicures and pedicures and get her hair done and buy the new MAC makeup kits and the new outfits and the new shoes and all of that and the new phone, whatever the new phone is, and all of it's in the back. And that basically you can't do both of those. Sometimes you just
No,
like
I
gotta
don't
live.
even think she wants kids. I
No,
just
she
think
doesn't,
wants to
but
hold
she's
it as a
using
carrot.
She go ahead. What was that?
She wants to use her having kids as a carrot to get what she wants. She's never going to have them. And if she does, if this persona is real, because she could be fake as fuck. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she turns off the camera and she gets her apron on and her egg apron on and goes dance and gathers the chicken eggs for, 20 omelets for her 34 children. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But this is in this persona, that's just a carrot. She's basically saying, hey man, give me a life of luxury and I might have children. Maybe. If she still can,
Yeah, well, she's holding it over their head as like a
Yeah, that's it. It's just a way to extort more shit out of men.
Yeah, it's kind of a carrot, but no promises. You're gonna have to step up, and if you step up sufficiently, then maybe I'll consider it. And
Yeah,
that's
but
the
I'll
thing.
just
Like,
keep
it's like
stepping.
they have this little bit of power, and they just abuse the shit out of it. And it's like, it's fine though. This like I've said this before. If you don't want to have kids, don't have them. But then the people who are having kids, they're gonna win because they're having children. So
Mhm.
like whether that is if you're in a country like the UK, which is like, you know, there's a growing number of Muslims, people from the Middle East that are having lots of children. If you don't care, then okay, just get ready to learn Arabic or whatever the
Yep,
language
and
is going to
get an
be,
abaya.
and get ready to adopt. Yeah, like you
Get an
figure
abaya.
out which figure out which direction is Mecca, because they're going to outbreed you, and then you're going to have to live under their terms, and that's just what it is. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but you know, what are you going to do? Like, the women like this, they're going to ensure that if they become like a majority, because it doesn't, like, these people can choose to live however they want. I've never said anyone ever had to have children. What I am saying is that some people are having them, and their line will go on, and they will continue to, like, you know, have more and more, and it will just continue on into the future. And some will not, and that will be the end of it. And those people, they're going to live for now, and they're going to live for the moment, because there's nothing to invest in. And that's why you get these materialistic people like Manifestel. She's not going to have kids, because then she has to put her energy and labor into somebody else that is dependent on them. So why would they do that? So
She's probably not even gonna have a dog. Okay. I'm curious about the sorry. She deserved the purse trend. Can you explain that to
you
me?
want me to go back to that? She deserved the purse trend. I don't
Well, what's
remember it. It was pretty like forgettable,
I'm
but
guessing that
let's
1204 was the economic implications of the declining birth rate.
yeah.
Does she actually say anything about that isn't blather?
It's blather. It's basically
Okay, all
like
right.
this
So
is happening and it's men's fault. Like that's all it is.
The problem with using an AI analysis of these women is that it makes them sound smarter than they are. It's actually making points for them. That's sad. If you're a content creator and
Well, and they're saying something that I think a sizable number of people want to hear. I don't know if it's a majority based on the last election, but I think there's a lot of women, and maybe men too, that want her to tell them this, because it confirms, like, you know, something that makes them feel comfortable. So like, oh, I see, it's men's fault that I'm a loser. Because that's, I mean, these people are losers. Like, they don't know it yet, but they are. So
well, they're never going to amount to anything and their life is meaningless. So yeah.
well, I mean, like Manifestel can go on to have like 2 million subs, 5 million subs, you know, constantly making these kinds of videos. But if she actually, like, if she's not a hypocrite and actually lives her life according to the things that she sells, she will die surrounded by people who don't know her, because that is coming for all of us. We will all die. So that's just an inevitable fact of life. So the question
That's the
is,
best outcome.
when that happens, when you're on your last hours, are you going to be alone, surrounded by people who have to take care of you, even though, because it's their job, you know, like in nursing homes or hospital or whatever? Or are you going to be surrounded by loved ones that you have essentially spent your life with? I mean, that is the question that she would not have the courage to ask herself, because it's true. It's an inevitability. You're going to outlive your parents. You're going to outlive like your uncles and aunts and your grandparents, and you are going to either die around people that love you, or you're going to die alone.
She doesn't, I don't even think death is in her universe. It's
No,
like, I mean,
it's not.
It's incomprehensible to her. She's always going to be this face.
Death
You know?
is, in fact, in the back. It is in the back. She just hasn't ordered it yet, but it's going to be sent at some point.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to get dark or morbid, but it's just true. So
Yeah, well, it's true. Like,
yeah.
and the thing is that I don't even think of it in terms of being surrounded by the people you love. How about knowing that your life was spent trying to make the world better in whatever way? I know it's a little arrogant to say that, but trying to make the world a little bit better for the next generation, or for people who aren't you, you know? And you know, like, I think that's a component of the meaning of life, and that's the most valuable thing that you can get is a meaning to your life. There's no greater value in the world than that, is to know that you live your life with purpose and meaning. And yeah, this woman is not, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's
All
play
right. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Let's play the
She
thing.
deserved the purse
have the money
trend.
to buy this, and that necessities for their kids. But a lot of mothers, they always put themselves second, third, fourth, fifth on the list of priorities. So they never get to buy whatever it is that they wanted for themselves. And we're going to get into this, especially the American culture of total motherhood, as per a brilliant writer
What
that we're going to
the
cover later.
fuck are people talking about?
What do you mean?
Well, this idea that mothers are held.
Oh
to
yeah,
these-
that they have to put their kids first. What? Oh, the
you remember-
humanity.
Do you remember the Tommy what no Tommy Tommy Sotomayor?
Oh yeah, totally.
She
Yeah, Tommy
said,
Sotomayor for sure.
You're a black queen, even though you were crack fiend. You were a black queen, or for his mother, and that's
Mhm.
a really low bar for motherhood.
Oh, that was he was talking about Tupac, and
Yes.
Tupac was because Tupac was mama's boy, for sure. And he wrote about his mom was like a communist activist or something like that was involved with the Black Panthers, and yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, you were
But
saying about
remember
that?
the song lyrics. She was you were.
Yeah, you're a crack fiend, mama, but you were my black queen, mama, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long
And then
time.
Tommy
but-
Sotomayor said that's a really low bar, and that encapsulates our beliefs about moms. Honestly,
Mhm.
like if you really want to know what standards we hold mothers to, then look at how we treat them when they're abusers. Right?
Yep.
When a woman is abusive towards her children, you will more likely see people blame the children than the mother. Right? That's the actual standard we hold mothers to. We don't even expect them not to be abusive because we blame the children when they are. We don't do that with fathers. They definitely come into blame when they are abusive towards their children. Right? You want to know the standards we hold mothers to? Ask children who have been raped by their mothers if they were believed when they told social workers or therapists or some trusted adult that they just managed to work up their courage. And you will hear like something like 99% of them were told, no, that didn't happen. Yeah, that's the standard we hold mothers to. We hold them to no standard whatsoever. And I don't even know. Like you cannot get away from that. Like your group of moms may hold you to some, I don't know, you don't do bi-weekly aromatherapy, chiropractic yoga, infant yoga, but they probably will still defend you if you're accused of abusing your child. Like seriously, they won't call you out for taking your child's father away from them. Don't do any of that shit. They'll blame you if you eat sugar during pregnancy, but if you kick the father out of no, that's okay. Yeah, this is bullshit. Women I'm sorry, but I'm sure there are some conservative communities that aren't like this, Christian communities that do hold women to standards, but I'm talking about the general culture. The general culture, women don't hold other women to account when it comes to their motherhood. They create all of these bizarre, esoteric, and almost narcissistic judgments. Like, do you take your kid to infants yoga? Did you eat sugar during pregnancy? All this other shit. But on the basic facts, do you not rape your children? Do you not beat them? Do you actually extend yourself to understand their point of view? Do you make sure their father is in their life? Do you do everything in your power to make sure their father is in their life? Do you do that? Are they held to those standards? No. So shut up, Manifestel. Sorry, this is a topic that really pisses me off.
So I got a super chow from Asthrun for $5. Thank you, Asthrun. And says, I could be wrong, but aren't most of these women telling on themselves for using punishment or threat of that as a weapon? Isn't that in the line of domestic abuse? Even the perceived power, as if men only want sex, they abuse just because men didn't vote for her imagination. Well, yeah, and they also assume that men are more sexual than women, but there's a interview I did on my channel, Honey Badger Arcade, where I talked to Aiden Paladin about this, and women are just as bad. Like they're capable of, or worse in ways. But we've talked about that on the show as well. So yeah, when they say I'm not going to give you any, punani, they're going to anyway because they are also horny and they're oversexed just like men. So that's just going to happen anyways. But so they're telling on themselves and also lying. All right. So do you want me to play some more, or we've gone for 2
let's,
hours?
let's
Should
play
we?
some more. Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right.
if you choose to have a child and then you put those child's needs first, I'm sorry, what is that? What you don't get a cookie for basic decency?
Mhm.
You don't get a cookie, ladies, for basic decency. You chose to have a child. That means until that child is self-sufficient, yeah, you chose to put yourself second. The only person in that scenario that is going to maybe put you first is your partner. Right? You have to put yourself second now. You have to make the effort to take care of what you have chosen to take responsibility for. I know the world hasn't prepared you for that because woman is something that's just granted, unlike man. Man, in order to be a man, what do you have to do? You have to protect and provide for someone other than yourself. But women aren't held to that standard. So suddenly it hits them when they become a mom. Oh shit, I need to put someone else ahead of myself. And so many of them fail. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
it's just very interesting.
participate in this angel in the house bullshit about mothers. And the reason why I'm not is because there was one point in time. Now I had a rough relationship with my mom. Like I can't remember a time that my mother actually did something for me because I needed it. I just don't. Like when I got sick, she would yell at me. My father actually had to stop her from yelling at me when I went to the doctor and I had a fever of 104 because I wasn't at school. And they sent me home. She sent me to school and my teacher was like, you look like you're dying. Go home. And I went home, went to the doctor, fever at 104. I go home and I have my mother yelling at me because I took a day off. That's the kind of mother she was. Rough childhood, right? She's better than most mothers. You know why? Because she would have never taken me away from my father. She is better than 90% of mothers. That woman that raised me is better than 90% of mothers. So don't give me this shit, Manifestel. All right, I'm sorry. Okay. That
Point
got a little
out
bit
that the She
too
Deserved the
authentic.
Purse trend is going viral in America, in the United States of America, because we do have this culture of total motherhood, where when you become a mother, everything is about your kids, and you as a person become secondary. And we
That
can't talk
isn't
about the She
total
Deserved the
motherhood. That's the way it works. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like what? Why have a child then? Why have a child then when you want a hobby? Like,
Can you imagine a guy getting on here and saying that, like, there's this concept of total fatherhood where like men just have to put their kids first before we would completely the internet would explode. It'd be on fire. There'd be CNN would have 24-hour coverage.
lose
Deadbeat
his
dads on the
mind.
rise. I mean, like, I think that if you are a parent, then yeah, your life as a single person is effectively over, or at least it is like now oriented in a new direction.
Do you know
That
what
is
I've
like,
heard?
what are we here for? Like,
Yeah, you know
what?
yeah, that becomes your purpose. But you know what I've heard from single dads? When they listen to this shit like this about women who are like single and they're like, oh my God, I have to moderately change my life for a creature that I brought into the world. And I really thought was going to be a hobby I could turn on and off when I wanted to. But, and it's like single dads are like, no, I don't date. Why don't you date? Because my kids come first. And this is why children of single fathers do better. Because men understand this shit. At some point, you take a back seat when you have a young life that relies on you. You don't get to do everything you want, right? And if you don't like that, don't have children. But the fact that she's complaining about the bare minimum, yeah, you're going to put yourself second when you become a mother, when you become a father, because you have kids who rely on you. If you don't like that, don't do it. I mean, this just really infuriates me. I may have a personal problem with this.
Should
Maybe a
I?
little.
Should
Yeah,
we
let's keep going.
continue?
The purse trend without talking about how it has been co-opted and ruined by people who feel left out because they're not struggling mothers, namely men asterisk who have resorted to destroying cans of formula at the grocery store.
Another counter movement targeting these women and the joy they're experiencing. By going through
What?
stores now and completely destroying baby sections and essential goods that mothers would usually purchase. Because these grown men have come to the conclusion that that's not really fair. And so again, instead of taking the time to focus on
Wait,
themselves
what?
and
Is this
maybe
something that
starting a
happened?
movement to support other men, or doing
I don't know. I mean, like, let's listen to the whole thing, okay?
Okay, all right. Is there going to explain explanation?
Well,
coming?
we should just that there. Okay, I'll go back a little bit, maybe the beginning of this. All right, we're just gonna play it from here.
As per a brilliant writer that we're going to cover later. But it's just very interesting to point that out, that the she deserved the purse trend is going viral in America, in the United States of America, because we do have this culture of total motherhood, where when you become a mother, everything is about your kids, and you as a person become secondary.
Yes,
And
that's
we can't
motherhood.
talk
That's
about
not
she
total
deserved the
motherhood,
purse
that's
trend
motherhood.
without talking about how it has been co-opted and ruined by people who feel left out because they're not struggling mothers, namely men asterisk who have resorted to destroying cans of formula at the grocery store.
another
So
counter
men have
movement
done this,
targeting these
like
Well,
more
she
than
says men asterisk. So I'm wondering if that isn't trans women she's talking about, because they can't, actually become mothers. But let's hear this video, and maybe this woman here will explain it, because Manifestel not great at explaining things. So
women and the joy they're experiencing. By going through stores now and completely destroying baby sections and essential goods that mothers would usually purchase. Because these grown men have come to the conclusion that that's not really fair. And so again, instead of taking the time to focus on themselves and maybe starting a movement to support other men, or doing absolutely anything productive and helpful, they've decided once again to just take it out on women instead, because I guess for some reason that's just easier. So they've started a counter trend, videotaping themselves going through and destroying these sections. And then they have the
Okay, wait.
audacity to sit around and wonder why birth rates are dropping to an alarmingly low rate and more women are single
because
now
you
than ever.
consider your sex a political bargaining chip. That's pretty obvious from what we watched before. But the other thing is that so men are going to baby aisles and taking formula.
I'm gonna find out what the she deserved the purse trend is, okay?
Because this
Because
sounds
it doesn't make
retarded.
sense to me.
Now, is that
Um,
is that a critical mass of men? Is that like 10 men on Twitter or sorry, TikTok? Is that men just holding like the formula and saying, I deserve this more, so I'm going to take it from a baby?
okay.
All right, what was it?
The she deserved the purse trend, which emerged in September of 2024, has captured the hearts of many. At its core, the trend is about showing kindness and empathy towards mothers who make sacrifices for their children. Here's a breakdown of the phenomenon. The trend began with a viral video posted by Tennessee mom Denisha Gonzalez showcasing a discarded purse with a tag still on it, left among baby items at a store. Gonzalez's caption says she deserved the purse, resonated with many, highlighting the struggles of mothers who often put their children's needs before their own.
Why?
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a counter trend to it, maybe, but
Okay, so
the Newsweek, she deserved the purse trend. Hold on a second. Let me just share this. Let me just share this tab so you can see it. Viral she deserved the purse trend backfires as people raid baby items. So basically, this might be a completely unrelated issue. People are raiding baby items and stealing them. Let me see. This is
So,
like a different.
let me get this straight. Because a mother discarded a purse she couldn't afford or in favor of feeding her children, mothers everywhere are oppressed.
Yeah.
Are you fucking mental? Like all of you. Like you're like I go out of my way to try to explain how women are harmed by this current system, try to create a bridge for understanding and sympathy so men don't.
And you know what? There's no real evidence that men are doing this either. This woman is
Okay.
claiming that, but it could be anybody. It's basically like in these parts of the country where there are these like a massive shoplifting that goes on, where people are just like stealing shit off the shelves. And baby formula and baby supplies is one of the things that's stolen because it hasn't been put in, behind lock and key, like detergent and other things. So this is like two different things that are being conflated in order to essentially support some kind of message.
An anti-male message. What a surprise. Also, I love the duping delight on this bitch's face. Like she's really enjoying this. She's like, I'm going to get you, men. I'm going to get you good. I'm like, I'm really at the point where I don't even fucking want to defend women anymore. Like
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It's like you are a foul. So a woman just decided not to purchase. Maybe she just decided she didn't like it. But no, because she chose to feed her children rather than get a vanity item, she's oppressed. Mothers everywhere are oppressed. Are you fucking like you god?
And it's funny too is that
so
like
hard.
if the economy was better, she probably could afford it.
Yes, if she had a husband.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
there was a
husband
husband in her
helping
life
out,
that
yeah.
was raising the kids, she might have been able to get something like that. Or if she was humble enough, she could have accepted the fact that, you know what, maybe I can't have that right now. I
So
mean,
what
some
is
of
it
us have to
people
do
are
that all the
doing?
time.
Yeah, exactly. I actually have to forego items so I can feed my dog raw meat. It's really it can get really expensive. Why do I do that? Because my dog's health is more valuable to me than shitty vanity items. Right? Like I'm sure you're in the same situation, Brian. Like you want to make sure JoJo gets the best quality food that you can afford. And I can't freaking believe it. Like two people who own dogs understand sacrifice better than mothers, apparently.
Yep.
Okay. I hope you guys aren't speaking for all mothers. Mothers, speak up and tell us that this is not, you don't want these people speaking for you. Maybe that you understand that when you bring a life into the world, you do sort of have to make sacrifices and that you shouldn't put it on the child. Like, who are they blaming here? That this woman has to feed her children, that you're blaming the children, which once again ties into what I said. When mothers are abusive towards their children, who do you blame? When children need to eat, who do you blame? Apparently the children.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you make it so your mom didn't have to get a pre-trash purse? You demanded baby formula, you little, don't coo at me, Susie. I'm going to backslap you. How dare you make it so your mom couldn't afford a freaking purse? Are you fucking mental? These women don't, like, whatever this is, it needs to not become part of the next generation.
Yeah. Should we keep going or because I mean like it's been like over 2 hours. I don't know like how much more like you want to do or whatever.
Is there anything more to the like? Okay, so this is what did the people actually do in this take baby formula movement? What
I mean, I closed the window. Hold on a second.
just send me the link and I will take a look at that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much. I'm sorry. Like Richard Bier, he supported for this.
I understand. I mean, this could have been 2 shows, But I'll send this to you through the Discord server. Here you go.
I think I'm going to need to recover from this shit.
Yeah.
Like this is the worst of it. Because I mean, I care about men, but the way that these women are treating their children, it's just appalling.
Well, they do it in family courts though, right? They become chess pieces in a game. And I mean, so why wouldn't it be like, and again, this could have been something very simple. Like the whole thing about formula, Manifestel she makes the case. I'm not going to play the clip because I'd have to find it, but I know what she says. She makes the case that, the formula is like really important. And then she says, but I know some of you are going to come in here and say, well, breast milk is free. And then she goes and says, well, but, like, why should women have to do that? It's a lot of work. It could, ruin her boobs or whatever. But like, this is the purpose of your boobs, is to feed your babies. Like, formula is not good for babies. Like, there's studies that have been done that show that if you feed your baby exclusively formula versus your breast milk, and also if you are like eating healthy and producing healthy breast milk, not drinking fucking whiskey and, smoking cigarettes, then your baby is going to turn out much better if as a product of your breast milk. And I know that sometimes there are challenges with that. I know people like my cousin who's had problems, with lactation, but there are natural ways to fix it. And we've known about this for a long time, but to just basically treat formula as a default,
Oh man,
I think that's a problem. So
I've just read this. How can manifest? I don't know if I want to look at anything more. The reframing of this "she deserved the purse" thing to be some anti-male thing by Manifestel.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolute bullshit. Like, this is actually offensive. Because let me tell you what actually happened. So apparently, first of all, it's not okay. So this mother found this purse in amongst a bunch of baby items that was abandoned. So apparently some woman wanted to have it, but couldn't get it because she needed to get some, I don't know, whatever for her kids, like any parent would do, and really shouldn't be given any kind of attention for doing, by the way. What is that, feminist? You shouldn't get a cookie for the bare minimum. Feeding your children, bare minimum. But anyway, foregoing a purse to feed your children, bare minimum. Okay? That's what you should be doing. But anyway, this article refers to it as an act of kindness that this woman videotaped all this shit, put it up for clout on TikTok. And then apparently everybody saw this, and then they started putting cash and gift certificates and whatever else in baby items. And then what happened is that people got greedy and they started like damaging the baby items in order to get the cash out. And suddenly on Manifestel's channel, man, can you fuck? Okay, we go from a situation where, okay, this is the bare minimum for mothers. Sorry. Bare minimum, you forgo shit to feed your child? Hell, I forgo shit to feed my dog. Brian probably does as well. That's the bare minimum. You've taken on this responsibility, live up to it. You don't get to buy endless reams of pre-trash that you're going to throw out in a couple of years anyway because it's no longer fashionable. Right? Like that's over for you. You are a mother now. You are a parent now. Okay? Nobody should be feeling sorry for women for this. Nobody should, because that encourages women to think, oh my God, I am really exploited by the expectation that I feed my children first. Oh, no, stop doing that. Slap them. No, that's not fair. It's not fair to your kids. Your kids are not oppressing you. All right? But furthermore, how can you blame men for this entire sequence of events at all? Do you think it was men who were doing this? Huh?
Well, somebody bad did a thing, so it must be men.
Must
men
be
are
men,
bad.
right?
Man bad.
Jerry in the commentators says some people cannot breastfeed. You as a man have no voice in the matter. How dare you even presume to have a say in the matter? Carrie, because you're probably long gone. But everybody who thinks that, your characterization of this situation in that way is misandry. No, it's hatred. You are creating a threat narrative directed at men by characterizing it in this way. There, you have no position to throw your moral weight around, Carrie. None whatsoever. Maybe we should change Karen to Carrie. My petition, let's change Karen to Carrie because we got a Karen and she's based, right? Okay? Carrie, you're full of shit. No, men are not saying you can't buy formula in order to breastfeed your freaking children. Men aren't saying anything. Men are overdoing their own thing, probably voting for Trump while this whole fracas happened. They had nothing to do with it. It's probably a bunch of women arguing and bickering over this shit and then maybe stealing baby formula more than they need because, ooh, maybe there's some prizes in there. Like, there's no indication men are involved in this shit at all. And yet, who is your fall guy? Who is always your fall guy? Right? Oh, I
All right.
wish men had voted double Trump somehow.
We like make a clone of him and vote for that guy. Technically, it's a new person.
Yes.
But just get his
exactly.
DNA like Serpentor, the DNA of Trump and Teddy Roosevelt and George Washington, and we'll throw in some like Richard Nixon just to make it like extra spicy.
No, men aren't even part. Like, there's no indication this is men at all.
Yeah. No, there's no indication. That's what I'm saying. I don't see anything about it, but they're blaming men anyways. Because that's what they do.
Ugh.
So,
And then are they going to increase the sex strike? Oh, those men, they did this horrible thing. We got to do another more sex strike. Ugh.
all right.
Okay, I no more manifesto.
Let us end this so I can get some dinner. So,
Yeah, let us end this so it can be over.
yeah.
All right. So once again, if you have any commentary on this, even if you hate what we're saying, we'll take it. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a message and give us a tip. And feedthebadger.com/support. The fundraiser is live. So if you want to support the show, to make sure we can continue to bring you this content, do so at feedthebadger.com/support. Apologies for getting so heated, but this idea that children oppress their moms really pisses me off. If you want to take on the responsibility, take on the damn responsibility. Don't complain about it. I mean, you can complain about it, but don't martyr yourself over something you chose. All right. Anyway, back to you, Brian.
All right. Just wanted to comment about Manifest Cell's eyes before we end it here, just based on what it looks like. It reminds me of a line from a movie. Let me show you all what I'm talking about here. The line goes, "You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then, oh, then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and spite all of the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces." That's from Jaws. That's what I think of when I look at her eyes. They're so dark. Anyway, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed.
Another one is Naked Lunch, the crab eyes.
Naked Lunch, yeah.
Oh, he had this really, really grotesque anecdote about a man who got taken over by his own anus. But do you think that's already happened with her?
That no, I don't know. I mean, sure, I don't know.
Sorry. Okay, I really took it down. Okay, take it away.
Okay. All right. Anyway, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. You can find links to the video in the description. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of this Maintaining Frame. And we'll talk to you guys in the next video. Talk to you.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.